Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about The Graduate. And this movie came out in 1967 and it's directed by Mike Nicholas. And I've seen one other movie from him, and that movie is Closer from 2004. And I remember really enjoying that movie. And I had always heard about this movie. It's been referenced a lot in pop culture and with movies that have referenced it since then. And I will say that I did like this movie. There were some parts of it that I didn't realize were a part of this movie. And I was like, oh, that happened. Like the ending for this movie was also in season 3 of Archer, I believe. I think it was season 3. Definitely not season 2. At least season 3. And I found that to be kind of funny. But what I did like is the performances. I thought Dustin Hoffman was really good in this movie, and I do like how his character was written. It was well defined, and the way he talked and interacted with everyone reminded me very heavily of the character Ross in Friends. And there was a certain point where I was like, there is nothing wrong with speaking correctly. I just wanted to say that in every scene, and I was having fun with that. And I do like how this movie opens up, and it's just taking place in this one house, and Dustin Hoffman's meeting all these different people, and it's very tightly framed and in your face. But I do feel as though that added a lot to the film and made it very interesting and gave you a sense of what the character is feeling. And I'm not going to say what it was because it's pretty obvious what he's feeling, and I'm just going to let you interpret what it actually is. But I did like how that was presented, although there are some shots in this movie where how things are framed are kind of bad. Like, for instance, there's a moment where Dustin Hoffman is running towards a house in the rain, and the shot is just so close in his face, and I can't see anything surrounding him. And it's just 5 seconds of the movie, and I feel as though it could have been communicated in a way where it didn't need to be so tightly framed. And there are a couple shots like that where that happens, and I just feel as though it looks kind of ugly in a way that I found to be very distracting. And once we got to the scene in the one bedroom, our main character and Mrs. Robinson were like talking to one another. And I don't mean the first bedroom scene. I mean like kind of later on in the film when they start talking to one another, like seriously. That's when the movie got a bit better for me, and I was with it a bit more and enjoying where things were headed. And I did like the songs in the movie, and I believe the songs were written for the movie first and not just like pre-existing songs that coincidentally fit the movie. I feel as though they were well used. However, where I do take issue with the songs is that I don't like how they're used multiple times in the film. Like, there's one song that's used at least 3 times in the movie, and that really bothered me and kind of dragged the movie down. And the pacing for this movie was kind of slow, and there were points where it was dragging despite it being slightly over 90 minutes. I just felt as though the pacing could have been a bit quicker. And the comedic beats, for the most part, didn't really land for me. I just found them to be kind of hollow and empty. Not that they were in the movie a lot. I just didn't really care for them when they happened. And there were parts in this movie where they're playing a song and it kind of just turns into a music video almost, but nothing is really happening. It doesn't really feel like there's a montage happening. And it just feels like there's so much empty space in this movie because that happens multiple times. And I was like, wow, you're just throwing these songs in just to put them all into the movie. But you're not putting them in for any good reason other than to get people excited about hearing these songs and wanting you to like buy them or anything like that. They don't really feel as though they are in the movie in any purposeful way. And there was very little conflict in this movie, and it took forever for anything to get going. Like, Halfway through the movie is when we get a little bit of conflict, which is kind of ridiculous, if you ask me. And this is probably going to be something that a lot of people are going to disagree with me on this one, but I didn't buy the romance in this movie between the main character and the one girl. I just found it to be kind of hollow, and I never once got a sense of what these characters liked about one another. And also, when it first happened, I felt as though, okay, I get that you're intentionally doing this one thing to like discourage her from wanting to go out with you again. But the way they take that, I was like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that, and maybe you should deserve better or whatnot. The way that was handled, I never once felt as though he was doing that because he started to develop feelings for her or whatnot, and like felt as though like, oh, I should continue seeing this girl because that's something that I should be doing. I never once felt as though it was anything past pity. Like he was doing all this out of pity. That's literally how I felt the entire time. And this is a quote that's always stuck with me, and I believe it was from Stanley Kubrick's Killer's Kiss from 1955. I don't even love that movie, but there was a quote that always stuck with me, and I believe it was from that film, and that was, "Don't confuse love with pity." I believe that's the quote. I might be paraphrasing, but that's honestly how I felt about it. It was just a pity relationship, honestly. But at the very least, I can kind of somewhat forgive it because the main character is pretty much supposed to be like a yes man and taking orders from anyone who's older or above him. And he's just a character who doesn't really function outside of that. And he's kind of an idiot. So in some senses, it is kind of forgivable because he's not written to be a super smart character or anything like that. And while I did enjoy the movie, and I do have more negatives than positives for this movie, I did find it to be overall enjoyable, despite my criticisms. And one thing that I'll just throw out there is that while watching this movie, I was like, okay, even if I come out feeling positive about this movie, I don't really see myself rating this movie higher than an 8, simply because it's not my kind of movie. The type of film that I would have preferred would have been something more along the lines of a character study. That's just something that's more appealing to me. But it's not a terrible film, and I didn't take away nothing. It was just kind of frustrating at times, and I just wish that things were presented a bit better. And also, there was just more of a hook for me. It was just kind of hollow, enjoyable. And that's about all I can really say about it, and it was all right. So with all that being said, I'm going to give The Graduate a 6 out of 10. I was kind of torn between giving it a 6 or a 5, and what kind of bumped it up for me from being a 5 was that, okay, I can kind of see why certain things were done in the way that they were, and because of that, it's a bit more forgivable for those things, and for that reason, it's a 6 out of 10 movie for me, but like a low 6. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below you thought of The Graduate, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Small Time Crooks. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching, and have a great day.